the FDA, not that it mattered too much, obviously, what I'm going to say, based upon the fact that, oh, this new drug is FDA approved. Side effects include premature death, suffocating, blood clots, vision loss, hearing loss, whatever. But your skin will be slightly less pink if you've got the little skin problem. Well, damn, that sounds good. Sign me up, I need some of that. Ask your doctor if it's right for you. Oh, let me ask my doctor. I bet he's an expert in the pharmaceutical industry. Oh, wait a minute. He's getting kickbacks from this drug company, which allows him to give out free samples. And he gets his little kickbacks and his vacations paid for by the drug agencies. Oh, oops, didn't know that. So, point I'm making real quick is that the FDA passes things that should never ever be passed, or the tests that they give. They say, look, we did some trials, some clinical trials, and here's our results. Oh, okay, well that's good enough for us, I guess. Let's go ahead and pass it. In other words, you pass the test. Go ahead and market your drug of choice here. Go for it. So, what I've just read, as of actually 2 days ago, is that they had their own scientists at the FDA that would in fact do some of their own testing and things like that to try to figure out if this drug or food additive, whatever it may be, is what they're being told it is, and should they let it pass or not. Now granted, as I said, from the looks of things, the elite haven't had any problem getting stuff passed. FDA approved. You poison in your food to keep it lasting longer. FDA approved. Don't worry, don't sweat it. FDA approved. Monosodium glutamate, MSG, FDA approved since at least the 1980s. So, aspartame eats away brain in laboratory tests, animals, eats away their brains. FDA approved. Put it in your coffee, it's just artificial sweetener. Artificial sweetener. No thanks. I'll rather put 8 packets of sugar, real sugar, in my coffee or whatever I'm drinking, rather than 2 artificial sweeteners. Yeah, but that's so much sugar, man. Yeah, I know. And if we need that much sugar to begin with, maybe there's a problem with us, and that we shouldn't have so much sugar. But rather than do that, we'll just beat around the bush and put some poison in our cup of coffee or what have you, and call it artificial sweetener. You only need 2 of these. 8 packs of sugar versus 2 of these, money-wise, you're going to go through a box of sugar, little coffee packets, way faster than you'll do these artificial sweeteners. So don't do that. That's dumb. Save money, man. Come on. Who cares about your health? So, these scientists that were at the FDA, which again, I feel like, they hadn't done the greatest job as it was, but perhaps there has always been at least a little pushback at the FDA by the scientists. And the club's just tired of dealing with it and weaseling their way around and having to pay off other people and just to get it done. Maybe they're at the point now where they're like, we're tired of doing that. We don't want to have to spend money to bypass these scientists, so to speak, at the FDA. Every time we need a drug passed, every time we need a new food additive, we need to just get rid of that process. Kind of like removing the Glass-Steagall Act in the late 1990s, right? And they removed some other legislation, regulatory legislation in the early part of the 2000s. And that allowed the banks to then become these investment houses that could invest their mortgage, their customers' mortgage notes into Wall Street, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody's approved, caused the massive biggest collapse to date of the housing sector, et cetera. So, if the FDA loses these scientists, what are we going to have? Well, the legislation says we will allow industry experts, not scientists, industry experts to do that process. So you're going to allow the industry, they're experts, to tell you whether or not this new drug is safe for humans, as well as any new food additive or any chemical they want to add to your food. Of course, genetically modified types of things too. They're already they're already passing those anyways, allowing those to happen. But maybe this little roadblock at the FDA, the scientific community at the FDA, are they're just tired of dealing with them. So let's just remove them all together and put our own industry experts in there. So what happens when you have a quote-unquote industry expert? That's simple code word for we're putting one of our own guys in there to, of course, allow anything we put forward to go through and be FDA approved. You know, once upon a time, when you saw something, whether you're reading a label of a product, again, whether it was a pharmaceutical product, you know, medicine, food related, it doesn't matter, whatever it was, and you saw on that box, FDA approved, it was a little sigh of relief. Oh, good. I'm glad my country's top group that deals with things being safe for human consumption or in, you know, shots, whatever, injecting into my body, etc. I'm glad we have that, because God, could you imagine if people were just allowed to roam free and put whatever they want out there and we just accepted it? Man, you saw that label, man, thank God it's FDA approved. Nowadays, the second you see something that says FDA approved, I'm talking about probably newer stuff within our society, you know, not something that was FDA approved 30 years ago and is still on the market, because chances are maybe back then it was something legit. But anything in the modern age nowadays that says FDA approved, you should be running for your lives. And now that they've passed this law, remove the scientific board and replace them with industry experts. Let me give you an idea of an expert. Their version of an expert, and this is true, as you're about to see, what we're told is an expert. We have a president right now named Barack Obama, who was a one-term senator. And that was it, and then all of a sudden he becomes president. Only an expert, someone who knows what they're doing, would even run to be president and hopefully get it, right? I mean, I got to know something. I've got to know something about what this job entails. You know, if you work in construction all your life, you're a one-term senator, you're a one-job guy. You worked in construction all your life, and all of a sudden this job comes up. Pays a hell of a lot more, and you have this massive, unbelievable notoriety within society by taking this new job. Except the new job is a very high-level programming position, writing some type of database application or what have you. How in the hell are you even going to step foot into that office on the day you begin your new job and even pretend that you know the first thing about programming when all you've done your entire life was construction? You're not going to, and the very first day you step foot in that office, the people who hired you are going to say, oh my God, dude, you don't even know a little bit about programming, do you? Like, you don't even know the first thing about barely using a computer. Be honest. Well, okay, you're right, I just wanted the job. Well, don't worry. You're still hired. You're still going to get paid, and the whole world's still going to think you know how to program. Really, how? I mean, I'm not going to be able to get anything done. Yes, you are. How? We've got 20 advisors, computer programming experts themselves, to advise you and tell you exactly what to type, when to type it, and how to type it, i.e. the teleprompter. And you're going to program stuff with them whispering in your ear the whole entire time to make it look. Now, when people are looking at you and you're programming live, we're going to live TV, this guy's awesome, watch him program, you're going to have a little earpiece in your ear. And you're going to have a teleprompter that doesn't tell you what to say, you just read it, and then what you're reading, just type it into the computer as programming code. You're going to look like you know exactly, you're going to look like an expert. So in other words, the experts aren't experts at all. They're just put in to fill this position, and because they're not experts, they are the best choice in the world for the elite, because they know these people will listen to all of our pre-picked and positioned advisors to them, and they're just going to soak up all of what they say as the truth because they don't know any better themselves, and these guys are the experts, and they're making me look like an expert. I don't know. I can't question them. That's the expert. So the expert in the FDA isn't going to know the first thing about pharmaceutical stuff. He's not going to know the first thing about what's good and bad to put in food. He's not going to know any of this. His sole job is to say whenever our company, the one I used to work for, by chance, no conflict of interest, comes in here and says we got a new product, it's my job to pass it as effectively and efficiently as possible to get it to work and go out on the shelves. And my experts that advise me are going to be my buddies I used to work with. And they're just going to tell me what things to point out, what some of these certain tests showed to satisfy everybody at the FDA, even though we didn't do any tests. Just say you did. And then get a new drug passed. So now the FDA has lost the only tiny little piece of legitimacy it had, which was already failing miserably. At least they had some real scientists there to do some testing. Now they're going to be replaced with industry experts, as they're being called. I've said this many times. If I could just take this job I have, the whole thing, everything involved, just, oh, hey, next week, man, we're going to Costa Rica. You want to come? Hell to the yes, I want to come. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll leave everything here except for my silver and guns and go there. Matter of fact, I better do some checking. Costa Rica, do you allow people with guns in your country? Are people allowed to own guns? Because if not, scratch that idea. Because I know how the revolutions and not. Got to go to a country that has that. I would leave in a heartbeat. The problem is there is not, in fact, another country that you can go to where the similar types of corruption, similar types of government, similar types of democracy, payoffs, corruption, etc. exist. So we're all in the same boat together. So in that case, I'm just going to stay here anyways. And we'll have to deal with our problems while the rest of the world deals with their problems, which are similar in nature. Although it does sadden me to see that Monsanto isn't allowed, genetically modified seed company, even allowed to step foot with their seeds in multiple countries that on the scale of, third world status, they are way closer to that than the United States. We're like the first world country. Come on. Yet they don't allow that crap in their country. Yet it's all over the place in our country. So it kind of saddens me, but at the same time you can see the pushback in society against Monsanto. And I read something a while back, I don't know what the analysis was, but it said 2015, according to whatever, would be the ideal year for people to push against Monsanto, and it might fail. And they just say, you know what, we're tired of paying all these fees and payoffs. The people don't want this so bad, we're just done. Monsanto's finished. They say 2015 supposedly is that year that it should, or the best opportunity to get it done would be. Hopefully it happens. Take care.